India has been adding steadily to its defense capabilities, to its security infrastructure. Recently, we saw that eyeball-grabbing moment of an IAF aircraft landing on a national highway with the defense minister on board. But equally, if not more importantly, the military is also making strides and ushering in social change by putting women and men in the armed forces on a par. Security recently, the National Defense Academy opened its doors for women candidates. Now, to understand the impact that can have, to know a little more about the lives of women in the armed forces, and also to know what glass barriers still exist, I have my guests on the show today, Major Nupur Gupta, who's an Indian Army veteran, Captain Meera Dave, another Indian Army veteran, and Commander Prabha Lal, who's ex-Indian Navy. Thank you very much, ma'am, for joining me on the show today. So to begin with, I would like to ask all of you about your personal experiences in your career in the armed forces. What was the path you took like, and had you had the option of NDA, how would it have been different?
So thank you, Ms. Deepavali, for inviting us on this show. And you very rightly started it with that a lot of eyeballs, a lot of eardrums and everything. They are all concentrated and glued onto the path-breaking news which has happened. That is when Supreme Court has given the verdict of permanent commission to women officers in February 2020. And still the fire burning a lot more when we step ahead and getting our girl cadets, our lady cadets, as in permanent commission by entering through National Defense Academy, NDA. So it is a very important verdict, important decision, a milestone historical decision which has happened. The reason being that, like if I talk about myself, while I was commissioned, we did not have the possibility of permanent commission in far vicinity. We did not know what is going to happen with our for the future. So it was maximum 14 years of service, that is an extendable service, 5 years of mandatory short service commission, extending to another 5 years, and then maximum to further 4 years, contributing to 14 years of service in army. So I'm sure everyone on the panel and you too would agree to me on the fact that when any person, may it be a woman or a male, completing 14 years of their prime age, because we generally, after completing our graduation or post-graduation, enter into the forces, right? So we are very fresh. First, maximum of us have their first experience of work as in uniform. So when you complete the 14 years, you are in such an important age bracket that coming out of a particular organization and then thinking over now where to go, because you have given basically army is just not giving a professional life. I personally call it is a way of living. So tan man dhan, everything, your sweat, blood, and you have toiled a lot when you get commissioned as officer. So when you put in so much and giving 14 years of service, coming out at such a middle age is a very difficult situation for that officer. Then joining any different organization, may it be corporate, government, or entrepreneurship, anywhere. NDA / permanent commission would give that long path, future making thought process to any officer. And yes, when it comes to women officer, it is giving a motivational factor, a psychological independency. You can think about your future, going to further commands, a lot more power giving, confidence giving, important decision which has happened. Had it been in my case, I'm sure I would have never left the uniform. As such, I've left the uniform, but the uniform has still not left. It has still not left me alone. So I would have continued the service because it would have been the most important decision of my life. Yeah.
Okay. Commander Lal, would you like to go next?
Sure, thank you. So what I feel is it's all about opportunities. If opportunities are given to women, like our parents, they have this mindset whether to send their daughters in the armed forces or not. Now, when the doors were opened, be it for short service commission in the Army, Navy, and the Air Force, it was only when in the starting 1992, there may be in the starting some glitches in the mindset. But later on, as more and more men started to join the defense, parents were slightly more comfortable. So once we start giving opportunities, we see people, the women in the skies, on board ships. So the youngsters, the young girls will be motivated to join. So what I feel is it's all about the mindset and the opportunities given. Given an opportunity, any girl, if she undergoes physical training, we talk about the physical vigorous exercises which will be conducted in the Armed Forces Training Institute. So what I feel is it's all about the training. If a child, be it in Sainik school or NDA, if a child is given training, proper training from the beginning, it will become a habit. It will not become a stress factor anymore. So opportunities given is always welcome. So I feel we should grab this very welcome change. There are three major milestones right now. One is the consideration of women as per in the permanent commission. Second, entry into the Sainik school. And the third one is the recent one, even though it is an interim one, but yes, a very welcome change, a substantial change will follow. Entry of the girls into the National Defense Academy.
Major Gupta, you're the senior most here. I'm sure you have a lot of more experiences to narrate. So please tell me.
See, on one side, along with what Captain Meera or Commander Prabhalal have expressed, that this is a welcome decision. I appreciate the Supreme Court. I appreciate the Army fraternity, which has talked of accepting this change. However, when you look at the experience of both of them, they are pretty, I'll say, young and newer to the environment. When we got into the army, like I belong to the second batch of Indian Air Force women pilot. At that point of time, I'm talking of 93. Not many girls were keen. One, those who were keen did not have the awareness or knowledge also of those options, because the entry was through generally the NCC or all those cadets who came into the services. And post that, I could not join, though I got selected without any training into the SSB for women pilot. But I joined the Indian Army in 97. Now, at that point of time, thinking of this whole idea in itself, that whether the girls will get an opportunity was also not sure. So for us, that opportunity in itself was something that we could grab. Okay, they have opened the windows for girls to join the Air Force or the Army or such kind of things. So this is one. I appreciate wholeheartedly that this option of coming to NDA for the girls has been opened now, but it has taken ages. If you see, it has taken 30 years for this change to come. The first batch of women officers, be it in any of the services, came somewhere in 92.
Right.
And every 5 years or every 10 years, the generations change, the mindset change, and the change which have happened in last 10 years have been drastic, and the cause for equality has come into fore. So I feel that it is a welcome change. It is going to has or rather pose certain challenges, but any change is going to be difficult. It will not come as a smooth sailing. But yes, I wholeheartedly express my happiness on this decision of the government and the Supreme Court.
Okay. And ma'am, if I can just ask you an additional question, because you're senior here and you've seen a lot of juniors pass through and mentored them. Do you feel a change in earlier generations and the women joining now? And is that are they a catalyst for change, or are the men also, have their mindsets changed?
See, to answer this question, I'll put it a different way. If you look at the society, how it has changed in last 30 years, all through we have been talking about empowering women. So yes, women have been catalyst because those were the people who were fighting for their place, who were proving, who were working that extra hard to ensure that they succeed. This is one part of the environment. But how many of us were training our men to accept this change?
True.
So that women empowerment was happening. Girls were getting better education. They were getting better opportunities. They were exposed to a more open environment. But did we prepare our men to actually face the situation where a woman will stand today and stand tall and say, I am ready with you, or I am ready to even compete with you? And whether you look at the academic results, whether you look at any of the workplace environment, the women today are proving themselves. And you pick up any organization. I am not only talking of defense services. You can find women creating a claim on all the awards, positions, and by their work.
Absolutely,
so yes,
ma'am.
Environment is changing. People are changing. However, this change is gradual. It will still take time for all of us to 100% change. Like I did mention that I did not join Air Force in 93 and I joined Army after 4 years or in 97. And one reason that I did not join the Air Force was this, that the society and the environment was not pro enough.
Okay.
To this mindset of women joining these services. So not many families, not many parents, or not many societies significantly or positively attributed this factor that women should join these services.
I see, ma'am. When we are talking about mindsets, that's my next question. That when they were discussing, when they were arguing about women, the permanent commission being extended to women in the courts, the one argument was from the center that women shouldn't be extended permanent commission because they have inherent physiological differences and they have, they don't have, as a result, the ability to command a unit. So what are your thoughts on that? How did you receive those arguments?
I would just take you, we are just talking about the current scenario of 2021. I would like to take all of your memories a bit back, to our early stages. I would leave Jhansi ki Rani, Rani Abakka, the warrior kings to the history. Don't worry, I'm not going that back. But I would also want your attention to put onto that role of women in armed forces started way back in 1888. That is what I'm talking about, the British Indian Army, when India was under the British rule. So after that, slowly and gradually, and I would also want to put onto that, while they were in the British Indian Army, the women soldiers in the army participated in World War I, World War II. We had 350 of them who were martyred in that war, right? So they have a huge experience. We come from that lineage. Coming a bit ahead, as ma'am just mentioned, before 92, in somewhere around 1958, we started when we got independence, Bharat got independence. It was the medical corps which started inducting the women in the armed forces, and then 92 happened. And then slowly and gradually, it was in 2008 when the Brahman Commission was granted to legal education branch, 2020 to other 8 different courts, the Permanent Commission was granted, and now we are working towards the NDA. In between this period also, there have been many such examples where women have proved them immensely. Right. I would give you one such example of Lieutenant Colonel Mitali Madhumita. She got a Sena Medal Gallantry Award. It was while she was in Afghanistan, when Indian embassy was under attack in Kabul. It was because of her bravery and courage. She received that. In 2016, we had the first batch of women which were inducted in Assam Rifles. And in 2020, 30 rifle women were put under LOC. That happened for the first time, and that too under the leadership of a women officer. Why am I giving you this preface is because when you ask this question that psychologically or physiologically the women are not ready, we have, every time a woman has to prove, it is not only in forces wearing the uniform, but every part of the life, may it be house, your home, any different career of corporate or anything. But I think it is an opportunity, because women are so very positive minded that they take these challenges as opportunity and shine out in any of the field, right? So putting across this word that now they don't have that physiological capacity, that is just I would say excuse which has been put. See, as ma'am just mentioned, that any change always has a resistance. And this is such a big change, because women are they are having a leading position in a long occupied male dominant organization. I mean, when we talk about armed forces, of course it was male dominated, but when it comes to army, which is a land force, it is much more male dominated and core because of the work structure it has than Air Force and Navy. So because of that rigidity, when we are craving that path of leadership, it will of course cause that resistance. I mean, there's nothing new we are experiencing here. But why I gave you all these examples, that we were ready way back. I mean, since ages now. So there's nothing new, but only the scenario has changed, and I'm sure we'll see many more putting their वो ना दम खम अपना तभी भी दिखा देंगे वो. इसमें कोई देर नहीं लगने वाली है.
Major Gupta, would you like to bring? Yeah.
Yes, one point I would like to add up here. See, we sitting here and taking a decision that whether the women can do that or not do that, we are not in a right position actually sitting here and discussing. There are 2 or 3 points which will get eliminated as we move on to the due course. First, any selection of a women should not be done as a concession. So when you are undergoing a same selection process, whether it's a physical, whether it's a medical, whether it's a academic, or whether it's a knowledge based. So all of us go through the SSB, all of us go through the physical test, and we go through a same medical routine. If you are selecting whoever is the best, then this question that whether they can do or not do doesn't stand. First, if you deny them that opportunity, and then you are saying sitting here that they will not be able to perform, how do you know? So let them at least reach that position. We have now come to that position where the women have been given the permanent commission 1. Second, they have been given the full colonel's rank after 25 years, which is their due. But if a major sahab is given a command of the company and a colonel sahab is given a command of the regiment, which was due to a person or a female officer when they reach that 8 year of service, how can we say that whether they can command or not command if they were not even given that opportunity? So my point would be that give them that opportunity, train them for that. See, NDA per se, because we are talking about NDA per se is one of the best academies, a training academy of the world. They train the best of the officer, they train the best of the journals who come out. All the journals today are from the...
Yes, ma'am.
Now, if they can train them, where is the problem of training the women?
Right,
and
absolutely.
Once you have selected the best out of the lot available in the country, one is not competing with XYZ officer. One is competing with self. If I can run, if I can complete that obstacle which is given to me, or I can complete my target, which is supposed to be my parameter of rising high or being trained, then where does the question come that whether they will be able to command after 20 years or not? Let them reach that place and see. Give them that opportunity. You cannot deny them that opportunity before that.
Commander Lal, your thoughts?
To what Major Nupur has just said, it's all about the question of opportunities and the mindset. If a woman is fully aware of the arduous nature of the military profession and still decides to take the plunge, it is her choice. She is aware what is the type of training she has to undergo. If a child gets in training school in class 6, right, and does that physical training right from the beginning, the child is being molded, then where is the question of this? The girl will not be able to do. She will be training hand in hand, shoulder to shoulder, along with the male counterparts. So if I give you the example of Olympics, if you see this time the medal winners, the women also were running shoulder to shoulder with the men. They were given physical and rigorous training. It's not one day affair that one night she just woke up and she won the medal. The same type of training was given to the male as well as the female Olympians. So if you make anybody practice, give proper training right from the beginning, why not? You know, it's not the question of changing the infrastructure. The defense establishment must walk the talk in giving women their due as equal citizens of constitutional democracy. It's actually the change. This change calls not just for a reset of attitudes and mindset. This creates a wider pool of girls and women trained for long, ambitious career in the uniformed forces. It will throw exciting possibilities to a more inclusive, re-engineering of the institutions of the armed forces. We may face some challenges. Nobody is denying, but we will move on.
One, we all should understand that this is voluntary army. So nobody is forcing any of the girls or any of the boys to come here. They come by the choice. And most of the time, a common excuse which the environment has been saying that the logistic requirements are there, or the environment is not ready, or the infrastructure is not ready, or the men is not ready. One, as Commander Prabha said, that the environment has to be made ready. If you are already aware of that there are logistical problems, why haven't we corrected them in last so many years? Second, agreeing to her point, if you are already aware that these are the challenges that they are going to face and still they want to come and join the services, let them join. Let them face the challenge. Let them fight it out. Yes, one cannot expect a privilege or any such environment where you are treated differently and the other officers are treated differently. To that extent, agreeable. But not giving an opportunity and then saying they cannot do, that doesn't stand. And personally speaking, rather it is a good opportunity for us that if we say that there are issues and there are infrastructural issues or there are logistical issues which have always been kept at forefront that we have not been able to do, it's a time for us to do. And also something which I feel is, if OTA has been doing it for last 20 years, why can't any other academic institution do it?
So next we come to another glass barrier, I think that's awaiting to be shattered, which is the role of women in combat. So the army still doesn't have women in infantry, doesn't have women in the armored arm. The Navy is mulling onboarding women on warships. IAF is the only one that has women in combat roles. So what's next in this direction? What's the progress?
Saying that we don't have women in combat roles, I mean, as you rightly mentioned, we already have started induction of women fighter pilots in Air Force. We have women officers on ships, almost going on to a step further level than being offshore. Now they are onshore as well. So that's a step further. When it comes to Army, we have been serving in combat zones since long back, since the time we got inducted in Army. If I talk about myself, I was posted for 2 years in Baramulla. Baramulla is a very hard field counterinsurgency operations area, wherein we are supposed to be manned 24/7 with live ammunition and arms. So we were in thick combat zones then as well. Now, what exactly do you mean by combat roles? That is what exactly here we need to understand. Those were the days of war wherein we had hand to hand, that is what we know, close combat quarter battles, right? And the last, if we say, what we had witnessed was in Kargil, right? Now the scenario, the current scenario of the world combat zones is changing. It is getting much more than going to the physical borders. It is going more towards the technology. It is going more towards the cyber warfare, right? In such a scenario, what comes in front, the combat zones are very much on our mobiles, on our laptops, on the communications area, technology. And women are already there doing wonderfully well. If you name it signals, you name it EME, they are doing in a wonderful role there. And they're outshining themselves. So what here I would want to again reiterate is that how we are terming the combat roles is very important, right? Physicality is a different aspect altogether, and working towards the technology combat warfare zone is very different. So we are already there, we are already working, and we are getting better day and day coming.
Okay. Your thoughts, Major Gupta?
This question of combat per se, when you look at it, I agree to what Captain Meera has said. And also I would like to add few things. Recently, there was a news of, I think, Captain Diksha and Captain Prakriti of ITBP. There is also a news of women queen commandos who are being prepared to fight the anti-Naxal area, and they do not have any zones in specific where they will be in a peace zone or a field zone. They are trained and they immediately move in for an active area. There was a whole contingent of females which was sent to Liberia. And when you look at any international army, they are contributing in the combat zone with like in Israel in 2017, 7% of women are into the total service, and all of them are in combat zone. Similarly, in Eritrea, if you look at 30% of the population of the women are into combat zone. So today, giving this excuse along with what Captain Meera said, that women are not suitable for the combat role, oblique whether they should get this opportunity or not, I feel in fact the kind of comments that we heard some time back, it is now slowly stopped. People generally used to talk about what will happen if they are captured by the enemy, and what will happen if they come into face to face. See, there are so many incidents which have happened, and the list of the POK, the prisoner of war of Indian in various such events, I'll not even call it a war, various such incidents where they were captured, many of them are still there, many of them were not found. So whatever plight they have faced, we'll also face.
I want to add to what ma'am just said on the prisoners of war aspect is that if we are really worried about this aspect of war or any even unforeseen even of prisoners of war, then I think the most scared or most skeptical people should be the Air Force, because now they are in the fighter pilot zones. And what we have seen in the very recent past, may it be Wing Commander Abhinandan, may it be Flight Lieutenant Nachiketa, now Wing Commander Nachiketa, veteran, they have been who are actually into the enemy territory, not even if on the borders, not even if on the LOC, because they actually go there beyond the lines and they fight any kind of events or wars, whatever it is. So if still the Air Force is inducting, they have not stopped inducting male officers, rather they have taken a step further inducting women officers as fighter pilots. So I think it is way beyond now. I mean, we have really come forward so much in the 21st century now that this question should be really left to the history now, and we should come up with something new, I think.
Commander Lal, your experience being in the Navy?
Yeah. Talking about from the naval perspective, whenever a ship moves, it is one single entity on its own. It's a floating vessel. So everything in one, everything, all types of officers and sailors, equipments in one platform. So when you are going on board for a war or any exercise, whatever, you are one unit there. It is all about, these days, the war is all about technology. It is no longer one-to-one, man-to-man fighting. So in case of Navy, I do not feel that there should be an hindrance in terms of sending them on combat. Women are trained these days in IT platform. They have been sent recently on board as medical officers, even on logistics. Okay, so this is a very welcome change, sending women on board. Okay. It is all about the technology warfare these days. So I feel shouldn't be a hindrance in terms of Indian Navy sending women on board ships.
See,
Right.
not only that, I come from Corps of Engineers. And before any army actually moves ahead or whether they are coming back, at both the times, the role which the engineers perform, so whether it is bridges, whether it is roads, whether it is mine laying, whether it is bunkers, whether it's optas, everything is done by engineers, and you already have women in the engineers.
True.
So fighting this concept that they should not be given combat because the fighting opportunity will come or hand-to-hand fight will take place where people are already performing that role. So I feel we should progressively look at it, and the best person goes to the capable person gets the opportunity. I think that would be my mantra to look at all the decisions.
Fair enough, ma'am. And why do you think it's important to have women in combat roles? Already you say there are women, but let me put it this way. Why is it important to have women in sensitive zones? And what can a woman bring to these areas, a woman in uniform? Besides the logistics points, which has already been addressed, that's a reason given for women to not be at the front line. Can you also tell me whether the logistics have improved and how much work still needs to be done in order to have, in order for them to be up to the standard where perhaps women can also be there at the front line with men?
I would say the same. Sorry, please. Please.
Yeah, I would say there is a lot more changes. What Major Gupta has seen way back in 1993, things have changed. Even the mindset of the male officers and the sailors have changed. The gender sensitization, which we speak about. Now, people have started accepting. When we joined the armed forces, initially, I'll just tell you, it was very difficult for us, for the sailors also, or the men whom we command, for them to accept us as women leaders, as officers whom we can give orders. But slowly, once they came to know about us, our capabilities, she knows everything. She is not nobody. She is somebody who knows the organization or the rules, or she is aware about what she is going, what she's speaking. So you have to prove your worth. You are aware, you can give clear directions. Why will the men not follow you? That's one. So if you are perfect in your organizing, leading capabilities, people will do listen to you. One. Second, our male counterparts. I'll speak about the male officers. It's not about the infrastructure or toilet. We are in some places where there was no toilet specifically designated for women officers, because I was the first women officer to be posted there. Fine. So they said, use our bathroom. Lock it. No issues. They have been so cooperative. I would not say that in any of my, I'll not be able to quote any instances where I had faced any hindrance in terms of infrastructure. The mindset has changed. Our male colleagues have started accepting us, that we are one of not a women colleague, we are a colleague. So there is a lot more change in the people along with whom we work. And this change definitely with the increase in number of more women cadets joining NDA and the Scenic School will definitely change. I'll give you an example of co-ed schools. Initially, we had only separate boys' school and a separate girls' school. There was no concept of co-ed school in India. Now, with the co-ed schools, we do not even realize that a boy sitting a girl, it comes very naturally. The other child is just a classmate. They do not think whether he or she is a boy or a girl. It comes very naturally. The ratio may be skewed. Sometimes there are very less boys in the class and many girls in the class. Sometimes it is the other way out. So it is only, we have to give some time to it.
Right. Captain Dave, since you've served in Baramulla, what are your thoughts?
As I already have mentioned on the sensitive part of it, that Baramulla is a very sensitive place, and going still ahead, Kupwara, Uri, and further east as well. When you talk about logistics working in sensitive area, we have already been there long ago. If we talk about the recent past, in Operation Parakram, in Kargil war, women officers were there. They were working towards, I mean, whatever role they were allowed to be in all the 8 different corps of army, they were there. They were not given anything specific. No, I know many such women officers who had just given birth to their own kids. They were there. They were working on those front lines. They were going very much till the forward, wherever it was possible, moving till the forward areas, as going ahead as possible, the margin ranges and everywhere, all the sensitive places. So these are live examples where women have worked without any specific special logistics in the sensitive areas. What more do you want when a woman has just given a birth? Because when you just asked a previous question that physiologically they are not ready, what more readiness do you need? So we have already done it. There is nothing so new, there is nothing so specific here. And as I again said that now the things are very different. The scenario is very, very, very different. And as we already know, when we are fighting through drones, we really don't need to be on the war zone or the enemy site areas anymore. And still we have a very strong active war going on through drones. So things are very different. Yeah.
Major Gupta?
When it comes to logistic, even I agree. There is nothing as such which personally I feel that yes, which was not there or which created a hindrance in our functioning.
Absolutely.
Second, as far as physiological conditions are concerned, I was going through some of the academies. In fact, if you are aware of West Point Academy of United States, where the standards are almost same. Like I can give you, both men and women undergo the same training, and for a men it is supposed to be 40-yard shuttle. A man is supposed to do it in 8.1 second, and a woman is supposed to be doing it in 9.4 second. And these standards are laid. So as far as that they are going to create something exception which is not happening in the Western world, in the name of that our community is different, our cultures are different, our practices are different, we have to change. Blaming it on that our men cannot take it or our officers cannot take it, they have to change, rather than we are, as it is changing, we are going through that change process, but they also have to accept. Coming to the camaraderie and coming to the institution and logistics, why this change and why this NDA is going to change and why this whole environment is going to change, let me put it in a different perspective altogether. As of now, the women entry is through OTA. Every batch has approximately 300 cadets passing out from, officers passing out from OTA, in which there is an approximate strength of 50 lady cadets who pass out. That means it makes it 1/6. And that is also just a minuscule portion of total officers. I'm giving you the data for Army because I may be having hands on to it. Navy and Air Force, I would have to calculate that data. So only, I'll say, 20 to 30% of the total Army strength get exposed to the idea that the women who are training with them are equally capable. There is another set of 60 to 70% of the officers who have never seen the women officer undergoing a training. They have not spent that time training with them, understanding them as a colleague, understanding them as an officer and their capability. Now, the moment you change, now second thing happens, I'll quote personal experience. When I got commissioned and working 24 hours, this 24/7 is not a corporate concept, but it is an Army concept also. 24/7, 365. So you are ready and you are available at every point of time to work. So let's say we are coming back from any activity. I have come across officers who were very, I'll say, I'm thankful to them for taking so much of care. But there were incidents like they asked me, when you reach back room, do inform me. Oblique, there were people who questioned if I am going out with my colleagues of the same unit. Just to give you a small perspective, that we might have 24 officers in a unit, which is a standard strength. And out of those 24, I am only one lady officer, because when we start going to the regiment, my WS10 was a pioneer batch where we fought for the engineer regiments. Till then, we did not have any of the officers going to a regiment as regimental officers. We had attachments with them. So our batch was the pioneer in doing it. And there were times also when if I am going out, I was asked, why are you going out? Are you taking somebody along? So on both sides, somebody was very careful, somebody was very caring, really kind to them. But on other side, if you do not ask a male officer the same question, that where they are going at 10 o'clock in the night, and I have become an officer, why do I need to explain that to anybody? There are multiple folds which are going to make a lot of difference. Now, the third thing, which I personally feel people have an option to refute that claim. See, all this while, the other officers who are growing and finally reach the command position, 80% of the army have not seen the lady officers training and lady officers working with them. So they will always have a doubt in the capability that whether they can work or not. So what is going to change now is that the moment girls come from class 12th, post class 12th, they will train with the majority. What is NDA actually doing? Sainik schools and majority of the officers are coming from NDA, and NDA is a tri-services institution. So if an officer is coming from OTA, a lady officer, or an officer is coming from any of the naval defense academies or the Air Force defense academies, they do not have any interaction. Which is going to change when a lady cadet is going through the NDA. So one, they will be training along with all the male officers who will go across to all the three services, and also the interaction will increase. And also the proportion of people who have seen these lady cadets train will increase. Now looking at a further one step ahead, the problem which people presume is what will happen if one woman goes into 24 officers ka strength, or if one woman goes into 1,000 jawans and 24 officers in any of the army establishments. As of now, if you look at most of the training establishments, they have created a separate barrack for them. Whatever reasons they have in their mind, and their valid reasons, I keep them as valid reasons. Okay. How do you expect that a person can be officer, a person can have the capability, trust and integrity, and a bro code, as we all know that in services we all have a bro code. But we do not have a trust that if we let a male and a female interact with each other at a mature platform level, they will not be able to maintain that honesty and integrity and trust amongst each other.
Of course.
So somewhere I feel we need to ingrain that concept that the genders should not become barriers. The gender and their capability should become the strength. And we need to look forward. When we look at NDA today, they may talk about the infrastructure restriction. So they may have to create a separate battalion or a separate squadron. But after 2 years or after 3 years, when a minimum strength of women, because as of we don't know, we are talking about that women are keen, but how many? The time will tell. So at a later date, we need to look at, can we include each one of them in the same squadron?
Right.
Because otherwise what will happen, you have a one women team, which is, let's say, the competitions. How do competitions happen? So there is a one squadron competing with another squadron. But would you let one women team compete with one boys team? No. You will always create a situation where you will say women team will compete with women team also. Then how do you talk of equality? If they are undergoing same training, same capabilities, same environment, same academics, you need to bring them at par.
Right.
And that has to happen when we have minimum strength of those lady cadets in the academy, that after giving them that initial time of settling in with the environment, because it is about mindset. Frankly speaking, it is not about logistics. As Commander Prabhalal said, that men will listen. Men is whether a Jawan, a JC or officer. They will listen provided they are ready to change the mindset. Women are already on a go. And they are unstoppable.
Because we always say that it's the officer, not a male or a woman. It's just the officer which the Jawan looks at. वो Jain साहब ही बोलता है, Jain madam, Jain ये नहीं है. So it is always the officer, which there is always in army, we refer to them as officer. Just because of certain reasons, it is women and male officer, but it is officer because weapon does not see who is firing it. It's a male or a female. It just see who is the shooter. So that's as simple as that.
Correct.
And precisely tomorrow, if we look at actual combat, the combat, somebody is not going to look at whether you are a female who is firing or a male who is firing.
Exactly.
It is your team and it is your action which is going to speak.
Definitely,
so we need to come out of that mold, whether the gender differentiation should be given that much of importance, or we need to create the army of the people who are best in what they do.
Absolutely. Okay, so because of these mindsets that exist, that are fairly entrenched, ma'am, have all of you ever felt that you have to overcompensate for being a woman, that you have to prove yourself harder, be better than your male colleagues, even though you may be really good and there's no comparison? So have you felt that? And what's your advice to young girls joining now?
I just mentioned in the last question, rather the first question, I don't remember. But then when it is a woman, it is like proving herself in each and every platform, each and every organization, situation, you being a mother, wife, your home, or any corporate or any places. And also I mentioned that women take this as an opportunity, not challenge. Giving my personal example, when I just started, that was my first unit. I was the only women officer because the women officer who was there with me, who was senior to me, had just left in a course. So I was the only woman officer left with 300 Jawans and around 8 officers team. So that was my first experience, the first exposure of army, the first unit, first job. And I proved myself each and every day. May it be running DPTs, PPTs, doing night patrollings, doing the ammunition drawl exercises, because I was in a modified field area that is on the western border. So you name a thing, and there was no concession which was being granted, because I was considered just as an officer. And the best part was, and the best compliment I would say, which I got from my commandant, was Captain, then I was Lieutenant. So Lieutenant Meera, you're not my lady officer, or I would not call you a lady. You are just my officer because you have proved it. You've not only proved to yourself, the other officer counterparts, but to all the men around. We also had civilians there. Going to Baramulla, it was a hard field area. I mean, no one, there was no possibility, because it was such a sensitive area. When we used to do night patrolling at night, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, early in the morning. So I was not granted any kind of a concession there because I was an officer. I was women then. So what I would want to say here is that we have proved ourselves everywhere, rather taking it as an opportunity. We have worked harder, and we have outshone ourselves. So that is the best part. That's the opportunity which we have received. If you say that every male officer who gets commissioned, does not necessarily everyone becomes an army commander. It is as per their capability, the capacity, their how they have cleared their courses, and it's a pyramidal structure. So whoever is the best goes there. Similarly, why do we want to differentiate these things for women officers? Same is for women officers as well. Who would perform well would outshine. It is as simple as that. But unfortunately is that why do we categorize it because you are a woman, you have to work harder, you have to prove yourself. There were many such male officers in my unit who could not actually do what duties which I was assigned, because my commandant felt that, okay, I was much more capable, not being a woman officer, but being an officer. I handle Operation Sadbhavna totally single-handedly while I was in Baramulla. So that was the competence level which I showed, and that is why my commanding officer, the seniors, showed that in retrospection. So I think, yes, we have worked, all of us, all women officers, fortunately, unfortunately, because of the mindset of the society, we have been proving ourselves, and that has been a blessing in disguise for all women force in any of the organization, any of the categories.
Major Gupta, would you like to go next? Have you felt women always work harder?
I'll say the environment has been very different, especially when it comes to our generation. The environment was totally different. And not only in the career environment, but everywhere. See, I would put it in very basic terms. When we were in 20s, how capable we are, or how academically well we were doing, at that point of time, the idea was that you should study well, that you get a good husband. Okay, so education was not given because I'm talking about the society at large. There may be exceptions, but the society at large thought was that you belong to a good family. One, you should be, so women are being judged at every stage. We'll come to the army also, but first was that you should be good looking. Second, that you should be, you should become, or you should become a right material to be a good housewife or good wife to somebody. And that was the criteria. अच्छा घर बार मिले इसलिए आप अच्छी पढ़ाई करो. Okay, nobody thought that once given that opportunity of a good education, girls will have their own aspirations. If I go back to my childhood, I was influenced by a serial which came by the name of Udaan. Which was about a girl becoming an IAS officer. I think it was influenced by the personal life of Kiran Bedi, and Miss Chaudhary was doing acting in it. And as a small child, my father was posted in Bhutan, and I have studied in a Air Force school, Hashimar. Now, when you look at that background, I saw the aircraft. And somewhere as a child, though I did not have any connection with the services, that aircraft stayed with me, and possibly some of my friends had their father as a pilot, which I saw, and that image stayed with me throughout my life. And the day I announced at my home that I want to be a pilot, the first thing my father asked, are you capable of? And second, if you become a pilot, who will marry you? So imagine the kind of a societal challenges that we were facing. Fighting the society or fighting the environment comes much, much later. So we have to prove at any points. Now let's move to one stage further. Got commissioned with whatever challenges, whatever issues we were there. So on one side, we had to prove professionally. On other side, again, there were times when people said, "Ladki to theek hai, but फौज छोड़ देगी तो हम शादी कर लेंगे." And as a typical middle class environment girl, the biggest challenge my parents had at that age, when I was 25 and 26, ladki ki shaadi nahi ho rahi hai. वो professionally कितना अच्छा कर रही है, nobody was asking. So I may be very professionally satisfied to what Captain Meera said, that you were happy, you were breaking the ceilings, you were doing very good professionally, you were accepted in the environment, and you were proving also yourself very well. But the call every day at your home was more about who is going to marry you. And that put extra pressure on any individual. And I would like to add this point here. All those girls who are looking of joining the services, I am taking all the three services, it is not a cakewalk. Be mentally strong, be mentally confident, physically strong enough to face I'll say N plus challenges that you have in life now. So be ready to feel those challenges and be ready to prepare to face those challenges, because life is not going to be a cakewalk. You will have to prove every day, every situation, every occasion. And trust me, it is not only professionally. Army, I'll still say, you know what you are supposed to do, so it is very easy. If you are sure mentally that this is my task and I have to do it. Girls are designed that way, that if you know what is to be done, you will be able to achieve it. If you are given right training, you know what is to be done and with whom and when, where, everything can be managed. The challenge will be the duplicity of the roles which the Indian environment has still not accepted, that you may be a very good officer. but how good a daughter, or how good a wife, or how good a husband, or how good a mother are you? I'll give you a small incident which I would like to especially mention. Imagine, I think all three of us are married to the service officers, and we all have gone through.
I'm married
Captain
to a
Meera?
civil. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was much more
Sorry, I
difficult
assumed.
in this case.
Okay. See, you get a notice within 1 hour that you have to move on a duty on a short notice. Any officer who is moving out knows that my wife is there to take care of my house, to take care of my elderly parents, or to take care of my children. What do you do as a woman? And you are not posted together.
Yeah, true.
So look back at life. It is not going to be easy. You have to take a concrete decision the day you decide that you are getting into services. Be ready for all these challenges, which are part and parcel. I will still not call them challenges. They are part and parcel of the profession. Correct. And I am sure hundreds and hundreds of us have already proved ourselves in this environment that we are capable of handling all of them.
Right. Commander Lal, your thoughts and your experiences?
See, I have been in the more recent era, I would say, because I retired this year only. So, as far as challenges and other things are concerned, I have already mentioned that people have become more and more acceptable. They have become more receptive. I would like to say that way back in 2004, there was some letter which had come from the command asking about the manpower status. And it so happened, Admiral, then Commodore, he answered, I don't have any manpower. I have only women power. And I'm very happy with it. We were 4 of us and Commodore was heading us. But this is what he truly, in fact, he quoted once, I have never seen such a strong team. Not say a women team, camaraderie, everything which we had, the way we worked in tandem, it really was showing off in the department. So there is nothing that you can't do. It's all in your mindset. Once you prove it, you will be accepted. There's no doubt about it. My message to the aspiring women cadets or women officers in the armed forces will be that you have to be, as Major Nupur also mentioned, be ready to accept the challenges. Also, be ready to embrace any change. Move from your comfort zone to your growth zone. This is very important. Always be ready to being uncomfortable. You have to be comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yes.
If you have this thing in mind, it is not an easy cakewalk. You are the one who has made the choices.
What both ma'am just mentioned.
Choice, live by it.
Sorry.
Yeah, if it is your choice, live by it. Give your best. You will definitely make a change. And that change will be there for years and years to stay whole.
Yes.
I was inducted in the Navy because somebody else has sown the seed way back in 1992. The first step, induction of women in the armed forces. And I read the best of that. We took a change, went to Supreme Court to fight for permanent commission for the women. We won it. And slowly the government is taking in cognizance the very fact that let's give opportunity to the women in the armed forces. A very welcome change.
Great.
I would just want to add a concluding note what to both ma'am just mentioned with all those difficulties, turmoil, sweat, blood, tear, putting everything together. I would want to say to the all girls one thing. There's a tagline of Indian Army which says, do you have it in you? And mind me, all girls, if you have it in you, you will prove yourself. Just have that confidence. Yes, you will have to face all of this, but this one thing in your mind, do you have it in you? If you have it in you, you will prove yourself. And that's the best motivation one can ever have.
Thank you so much. On that note, I'll wrap this up. It was really a pleasure talking to you all. Thank you so much for taking out time. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Jai Hind.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.